G'day legends. Now, great rivalries, great stories, some of the biggest things that we've enjoyed in our lives, sitting down by the campfire and telling stories, they all come down to a classic hero versus villain, you know? Simba versus Scar, Luke versus Darth Vader, Jon Jones versus his wife. That is what we are going to be going over today. Not Jon Jones versus his wife. We're going to be going through every single one of the UFC divisions and talking about who's the hero, who's the protagonist, who's the hero, who's the villain, the antagonist and the protagonist. Now, not all of them are going to be a champ versus a contender. Not all the champs are going to be heroes. There's going to be a little bit of a mix in all these. And we're going to be going through every single one of the divisions, at least the important divisions. Sorry to the Juliana Pena fan out there. I'm looking at you, Nacho. Right, let us get into it all the way with the forgotten division of the UFC, the flyweight division. Now, while some people would assume that the hero, the protagonist of the flyweight division would be Pantoja, it isn't. It's actually Moreno. That's right, it's Moreno. Think about it. He's been with us all the way since the tough era. I know, so Pantoja has, but he's been with us all the way through the tough era. And he's the one that's kind of on the hero's journey, because the bloke that's on the hero's journey is constantly battling uphill, and that's what it's like for bloody Moreno, you know? Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day I will beat Pantoja. He had to fight Davidson Figueiredo like 100 times, all the way to jump to the end battle of the game. He claimed the belt, he won the game, but then just like back in the day when you were playing Pokemon, you'd go and collect all the badges, and then just out of nowhere, standing outside of the gym, is goddamn Alexandre Pantoja again, just like Red, rocking up on Brandon Moreno, and he's got a level 151 Mewtwo. Like, just go away, Pantoja, and leave Brandon Moreno alone for a little bit, and that's what makes Pantoja the ultimate antagonist here. And he's not just like, this isn't just he's the antagonist because he's against Moreno. No. It's because he seems to be against the entire division. He has fought everyone in the division like 100 times. He is constantly harassing them and beating them down to losses. And even when we, the entire MMA community, are like, hey, why don't you go fight Marab? He's like, no, I think I'll hang around in this division and just keep annoying everybody. But if it wasn't going to be Brandon Moreno, just to mix it up a little bit, if you were going to pick someone else to be the antagonist of the division, the new one, the next bad guy around the corner, you could have it as Manel Kape. I mean, Manel Kape is the guy that goes around the UFC PI starting fights with the other fighters like Muhammad Mokaev, right? He annoyed Muhammad Mokaev so much, he riled him up so much, he got him so angry that the way that Mokaev started behaving got him kicked out of the UFC. That is proper antagonist behavior. Not only that, we know he's a bad guy because he will grow a boob. He grew a boob in his last fight. He had the gyno going. He won via the old Chris Idman 1-2 eye poke. He's a bad bloke. We love him. He will start dropping slurs anytime he gets a microphone. It's bloody hilarious. We love it, and we love a bad guy. That's why we love Chael Sonnen. So maybe it is more fair to say that the bad guy is Manel Kape. He is the true antagonist of the flyweight division. Let us move on to the bantamweight division, boys. Bantamweight. Who's the protagonist? Who's the antagonist? So, of course, the protagonist of the division has to be Corey Sandhagen, old beakers and test tubes, Corey Sandhagen. He's got to be the one. Of course it's Corey Sandhagen. Like, he's the main character of the division, right? He's the good guy. He's the little hero of the division, yeah? Whether he wins or he loses or he's getting robbed by the UFC against TJ Dillashaw, that's how you know he's the real hero. Like, he's like an Aladdin or something, and he's like poor in the street. Well, I guess Aladdin was doing the robbing. Whatever. You know what I mean. He's being robbed by the boss, Dana White, in the UFC. They seem to be allergic to putting him in there against Sean O'Malley because Sean O'Malley is this looming figure over the division, and they don't want to give bloody Corey Sandhagen his go so he can actually have a shot at the title, right? And every single time he's got to go in there and fight the final boss to actually step up and win the belt, he just falls a little bit short, yeah? Constantly having to make another run at the final boss, constantly having to go on this hero's journey. We all want Corey Sandhagen to win, but he can never quite get there. He's even stepped up his social media game. The dude is doing everything he can to try and get in there and get a title shot. And then, of course, the antagonist of the division has to be Sean O'Malley. It's got to be Sean O'Malley, or as the Tinder profile says, Danny. She's 28. I think that's Sean O'Malley's wife, or bedtime partner, whatever his bait that he throws out there on Tinder to see if he can reel in some other women. I don't know what Sean O'Malley gets up to. Well, we know what Sean O'Malley gets up to. But he's the bad guy of the UFC. He's the antagonist. He's the fake superstar propped up by the UFC, yeah? Just to farm TikTok clips, right? That's what he's about. He's like Power Slap. He was gifted a nod in the Yarn fight. We all know that, yeah? He was gifted amazing timing for Jose Aldo. We all know that, yeah? And when have you ever seen a champ ever have to hurry up? Rather than being well rested, he has to hurry up so he can go in there and fight the contender. That's Sean O'Malley. The question is, are we ever going to see these two storylines come together? You know, like when Jon Snow started to march south. When the North and the South storylines of Game of Thrones ever started to come together. That's what's going on here. How long are they going to prop up Sean O'Malley at the top of the division while trying to hold down old Beakers and test tubes Corey Sandhagen? After Marab's done with Sean O'Malley, this needs to be the number one contender shot, man. Or just give Sandhagen the title shot. Anyway, enough of that. Moving on to the featherweight division. Look, I think it's fair. I think we all know the protagonist of the featherweight division is Volk. We're all happy that he's back. We're happy that the king has got his throne. It's amazing. It's Volk's division. It's always been Volk's division. Volk is the greatest featherweight of all time. Everybody in the UFC bloody loves Volk. We all love Volk. In my country, they do these like ridiculous welcome to country ceremonies. They're such a waste of time. It's like some white guy that's pretending to be an Aboriginal is welcoming me to their land. Just scrap that and just have Alexander Volkanovski sitting on a throne at the airport, just yelling at me to believe myself as I land in Australia and come back home. That's what it should be, right? And that's Volk. He's the protagonist, and he's going in there against the antagonist, which is, of course, Movsar Evloev. I'm telling you, dude, he is like, the UFC do not want you to say his name. There's been interviews that Volk's been doing with Ariel Helwani, and I can guarantee the UFC have told him to not mention Movsar Evloev. He's like, his name is like fucking Voldemort around the halls of the UFC PI. No one's allowed to mention him. You know, right now, they are trying to set up Movsar Evloev versus, Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez for UFC 320. Why Yair Rodriguez gets an entire pay-per-view built around him coming off one win to an unranked guy, I will never ever know. But Movsar Evloev, he's the one. And he's out there hunting down the rest of the division whenever they will agree to get into the cage with him, you know, robbing Arnold Allen. Yeah, Arnold Allen won that fight. Movsar Evloev left him robbed in the streets of London. This is a bad guy. He's the bad guy of the division. They're looking for any reason not to make it Movsar. He's the boogeyman of the division that everyone's not ducking, but the UFC are keeping him away from everybody. Like back in the day when Max Holloway kept knocking away contenders at featherweight. They were like, for God's sake, don't give Ilia Topuria Max Holloway. That's Movsar Evloev these days. I know. I just sat here and compared Movsar to Max Holloway. Begin unsubscribing. But it's kind of true, right? Let's switch this one around. Who's the antagonist of the lightweight division? I think it's pretty obvious who this is, yeah? The antagonist of the lightweight division, the bad guy, is obviously Ilia Topuria, Chad Puria, right? Chad Puria, El Matador. First, he goes and KOs Max. And then after he KOs Max, he goes and starts barking at the heels of Islam Makhachev and scares Islam Makhachev away. All the while, he's picking fights with Ilia Topuria, who is, it's not Ilia Topuria, with Charles Oliveira, who is the sweetheart of the MMA community. Find me an MMA fan that doesn't like Charles Oliveira, well, except for Toad in the live streams, but find me one that doesn't like Charles Oliveira. And then Max Holloway, who is trying to set himself up as a new home in lightweight as well, Ilya Tapiria's gone and chased him up there too. So he's chased away Islam Makhachev. He started fights with Charles Oliveira. He won't let Max Holloway have his own career. It's insane. He is the bad guy. He's the bad guy. All Charles Oliveira wants to do is try and win himself another title so he can pay for his kids' tuition. And Ilya Tapiria has already apologized to Charles Oliveira for how badly he's going to knock him out. Who does that, man? I mean, who does that? And this obviously sets up our protagonist, which I do believe is Max Holloway. Max Holloway, who's he's looking forward to Saturday night. I tell you, he's looking forward to Saturday night is Max Holloway. He is on the hero's journey, right? Came into the UFC, little tacker he was. He was only about 6 years old when he came into the UFC. He's been in the UFC for so long. And he was defeated by Volk 1,000 times. But Max Holloway kept trying. He moved up to lightweight, saw that Volk had disappeared, and then came back down to featherweight to have another crack. And he was beaten by Tapiria again. Only to be like, that's fine, I've still got my lightweight career, I've got the BMF belt, you know? Until Ilya Tapiria goes and chases him back up to lightweight. Max Holloway is just looking forward to a Saturday night where Ilya Tapiria and Alexander Volkanovski will leave him the fuck alone so he can have a crack at getting his title back. Max Holloway might be the protagonist of the entire UFC at this point. He's been in the UFC for 1,000 years, used to have the belt, lost the belt, and now he's stuck between two goats. This is the low point of the hero's journey, and Max Holloway is just waiting for his ticket to a Saturday night where he can challenge for a belt against some sort of winnable opponent. Used to be the boogeyman of featherweight. Now he can't seem to find himself a win. I think Dustin Poirier dusts him up. Again. What happened, man? Is Max Holloway going to go down in history as like the greatest second placer of all time, even though he held a belt? It's bizarre. Welterweight. The division right now. And who's the protagonist of welterweight? Obviously, it's... Whoops, I think I just deleted him from behind the... Obviously, it's JDM. It's in the fists. Violence. The rebirth of Nick Diaz, the third Diaz brother, abandoned by the Diaz mother on a weird trip to Australia she once had. Saved us from Bilal Ishmael. And once Bilal was defeated, have you now noticed the moment that UFC 317 finished and Bilal was defeated, the floodgates of fun have opened up in the UFC. It's like when a comic book villain dies and the whole kingdom just magically heals itself, you know? All the peasants, all their chains magically fall off, and all the dead leaves and flora and fauna go back to green. That's what happened the moment that JDM vanquished Bilal, you know? They took the stage, and they went Hamzat Chimaev versus DDP. Granted. Islam Makhachev moving up. Granted. Ilya Tapiria versus Charles Oliveira. Granted. You know, Buckley, Usman, like things just started getting fun the second that Bilal Muhammad just Thanos snapped himself out of the universe. It was a thing of bloody beauty, mate. A thing of bloody beauty. So thank God that JDM has become the new hero of the welterweight division. But the evil spirit, the bad guy in welterweight still exists. And that is, of course, Ian Machado Gary. He spent his job at UFC 315 was to go around and annoy as many of the UFC fighters as he could. That's what he does, right? Then he goes in there. He starts off his welterweight antagonistic mayhem run by poor old Neil Magny, getting Neil Magny thrown into child court and having to point out that he was just using a turn of phrase. Literally, he is such a menace. Is Ian Gary that he got Neil Magny thrown in front of a judge for something that he said during a press conference like that as a little slip of the tongue. Ian Gary does an interview with Ariel Helwani like 3 times a week, it seems like now, just trying to keep poking fun at the entire division and keep reminding everyone that I deserve a shot at the title the most because I beat number 13th ranked. Like, no, dude, that's not how it works. I lost to number 4, so technically, because number 4 is injured, I should have a go. And Layla wrote this script for me. Listen, no, Ian, you get fighting again, or sit there in that chair, that weird chair that's in the corner of the hotel room. which is what he's on now. He's in his favorite chair. Snuggle into your favorite chair and watch the fucking show that is the welterweight division, Ian. Or get involved, mate. Take your shirt off. Take your pants down, wear your Venom kit, and get in there with Sean Brady and have a fucking go, mate. Or sit there and watch the division pass you by. You'll probably sit there and watch the division pass you by. You know, it's Ian Gary. Moving on. Middleweight division. To the middleweight division. The Protagonists. Who's the boss of the middleweight division? It is going to be Dricus du Plessis and his coach. Dricus du Plessis is him. He is him. He's a giant Chad, fights like a gorilla, bloody sinks beers whenever he wants. I bet he gets into McGregor's coke stash whenever he wants. I mean, the way that he makes out with his coach and the way that he makes out with his missus, you know Dricus du Plessis is fucking anything that he lays his eyes on. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. No hole is safe when BDP is on the hunt. You know what I mean? In fact, you know what? I'm switching this up. I mean, when you think about it, right? He makes Strickland cry. Just because Strickland's dad wanted to do some light sparring on Strickland's mum when he was a kid. He made Izzy cry because poor Izzy had to relive the trauma of being part of a family business. You know what? Actually, Dricus might actually be the evil one here. Dricus is the evil one. Because when you think about it, right, I was going to have the antagonist as Khamzat Chimaev. But Khamzat Chimaev, actually, he's the battler. Really, when you think about it, he fell down a flight of stairs when he was a kid, broke his nose, hasn't been able to breathe since. He's been grinding his way to the top. Seems like after his first fight in the UFC, he was offered a bloody title shot. Ever since then, he's been grinding. Remember when Khamzat Chimaev saw that orphan girl and he just broke down into tears? His family felt so bad for her. His family is held hostage by a fucking dictator. That would probably kill them if Khamzat Chimaev didn't play ball. Yeah, no, you know what? I've messed this up. Dricus du Plessis is the bad guy rolling around as being evil Dricus. And Khamzat Chimaev is the sickly kid, the battler that's just trying to have a crack at the belt. The UFC keeps promising him title shots. He doesn't get them. Yeah, no, I messed that up. I made the mistake here. That was my fault. This is how it should be. Dricus is the bad bloke. Oh, my lord. All right, moving on. Light heavyweight. Here we go, mate. All right, light heavyweight. The protagonist, the good guy, the one that we're all rooting for is obviously Yuri Prochazka. The dude is a warrior samurai spirit fighting the evils of the Aztec blood magic for eternity. I love how autistic this sport can get sometimes. I'm telling you, this is peak stuff right here, boys. This is MMA at its best. A kind of spazzed out Chechnyan dude that thinks he's a samurai going in there against an ex-tire shop worker, LARPing as an Aztec blood soldier. That was the peak of MMA. But Yuri is the last samurai, yeah? He's the good guy of the division. He's humble. He doesn't go talking a lot of trash. Him and Jamal will go out for a couple of beers, you know? He's not handed stuff by the UFC. He's a grinder. He's got to go in there and grind to get back to his title shots. He's the good guy. He's the one that we're all going for. Now, who's the bad guy, you know? Who's the bad guy, right? It was Jamal Hill, but Jamal Hill's been defeated and he's gone quiet. I don't think it's Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira's got a great come-up story. I think the bad guy of the division is just Magomed Ankalaev. You know, he again is the boogeyman, the evil one that's taken over the division. The UFC didn't want him there. Then he came in and took it by force. The fans hate him. Why? I don't know. They act like he wrestles like Mario Batista for the entire fight. They act like he is all cage control and boring. I don't get it. The dude stands up and pushes forward. It's not his fault that Alexander Rakic danced away from him the entire fight. You know? It's not his fault that Alex Pereira kept backing up the entire fight. And now that he has become the champ, Ali has taken over his Twitter account. I don't get why everyone hates him, but everyone kind of hates him. And they want to see the warrior samurai. They want to see... He's on this side, Dougie. They want to see the warrior samurai chop the head off the bad guy. This is just the storyline that's happening in the division. I don't know why. I don't know how we got here. I don't know what Magomed Ankalaev did to you, mate. I don't know what he did to you. You know? I think you made Alex Pereira bigger than he actually was in your head, and Magomed was just kind of there, unfortunately. But this is the way things have turned out. And we move on to heavyweight. This is obviously no surprise. The bad guy of the entire UFC right now is Jon Jones, living his best life like a divorced 50-year-old woman in Thailand, just sipping coconuts, being snarky on Instagram all day, posting to his stories about how nothing you say upsets him, even though he's got to address it every single day, ducking the guy that is just trying to be the best fighter. I can't do a Tom Aspinall one. I can't do a Tom Aspinall impression, so I'm not going to try. But Tom Aspinall just wants to try and be the best fighter. He just wants to have a go. He just wants to fight for his belt, mate. He's been holding on to an interim title for like 2 years now, while Jon Jones has been just living his best life. Jon Jones might be the bad guy of the entire UFC. People want to put him down as the greatest fighter of all time, even though he ducked a rematch without... We don't need to do this again. Every damn day turns into a video of why Jon Jones is a bad bloke. Every day. Everyone in the MMA community is sick of it. And Jon Jones is quite literally, while we are all talking about this, on the other side of the world in Thailand with his feet up, sipping coconuts, pissing himself, laughing at the entire situation. It's kind of diabolically genius. Kind of makes you respect Jon Jones. What is he doing to us, mate? What is he doing to us? But that is it. That is every single division in the UFC. Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? What are the storylines coming up? How are they clashing? That's that. Let me know what you think about that down there in the comments. If this is your first time here, then g'day and welcome. My name is Dougie. I try making a MMA video every single day of the week. Plus, I go live at least 3 times a week where we have fun conversations like this. Currently, we are arguing about who is one of the best grapplers or wrestlers in the UFC. I've learned that Charles Oliveira is highly overrated when it comes to his wrestling and grappling, but that's a conversation for a different time. If you want to know when all that happens, hit the notification bell and subscription button so you know when I go live. Let me know down there in the comments, did you think I got any of these wrong? Who's your good guy and bad guy in one division? Let me know about it down there in the comments. And if you're a paying member of the channel, thank you so much. Your names are up on the next slide. And until then, I'll see you all in the next one. See you guys. Bye.